Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Talk About It with Ty. I am going to be recapping and highlighting the current season of The Amazing Race, season 38. I am so excited about this season because it has a unique format. The entire cast is Big Brother players and their loved ones, and they're traveling all around Europe. This is right up my alley. If you don't know, I am on season 1 of Destination X, which is currently streaming on Peacock. And the premise of the show that I was on is that we were on a blacked out bus traveling through Europe, trying to compete in challenges to earn clues to figure out where we were. So my entire reality TV experience has been in Europe, which is, again, is why I'm so excited about this current season. So let's jump in. I'm going to be recapping, highlighting, and talking about my favorite players and my favorite moments all season long. So this cast starts out in the Netherlands. Totally different format from what we've seen before, where typically the racing teams start out somewhere in the United States and they got to race to the airport and then start jet setting across the world. No, they already started there. And Phil immediately gets down to business. He's like, okay, we jumping into a challenge. Let's see who wants this express pass. The players seemed actually surprised to see each other, and it gave me the impression that they did not know ahead of time that their entire cast was going to be Big Brother alums. I really like that twist. I always love a good surprise, something that's going to throw the players off. The fact that a lot of them have either competed together or know each other, some of them have biases with each other, some of them have dated each other. There's a lot of relationship history going on in the season, and I think it's going to make it even more juicier. For example, Joseph and Taylor are exes from Big Brother, and Taylor is racing with her current boyfriend, Kyland. Was news to me. I didn't know they were together, but I love them together. I'm totally here for it. They are both gorgeous people individually, and nothing more than I love than a beautiful couple together. So I was so happy to see them paired up together on The Amazing Race. I don't know if there's going to be any type of like tension or jealousy or weird moments because Taylor's ex is also competing on the season, but we'll have to wait and see. Another interesting relationship dynamic we're going to see this season is Rubina and Tucker, but they are not competing together. Rubina is paired up with her sister, and Tucker is paired up with his brother. Fast forward to present day, they're actually exes now and they've split up. So I don't know, maybe something with being on the show together and competing against each other contributed to that. But I could say for myself personally, if I was on this show and my man was on another team racing with somebody else, I wouldn't expect him to just like let me win, but I would have other expectations. For example, if we're doing a roadblock and I'm struggling, I would expect him to help me. Or if we're doing any type of challenge and we're there at the same time, you better help me out. I'm actually very surprised that the show CBS allowed them to, compete on the same season together, but on opposing teams, because it's a little bit of a conflict of interest. There's already going to be, you have an inherent allegiance to that person. Like, that's the person you sleeping in bed with at night. Like, that's your man, that's his woman. So you shouldn't turn on each other. That wouldn't be in your best interest because at the end of the day, only one of y'all teams need to win to bring home the money, right? So very interesting. Like I said, all I know is just present day. They're not together. They split up apparently, I think about like a month after filming wrapped up for The Amazing Race. But as we're watching it actually on television, they were still together. And it's kind of cute to see. I guess kind of sad to look back on now because it's like, they're broken up. But at least in the first episode, they look cute together. Let's get into the first challenge. Phil has them going to an ice skating rink where they're doing like it's kind of like bowling. There's pins set up, but instead of just like rolling a bowling ball, you have to like position your body on a sled and your partner has to like push you down to knock down all the pins. So ice skating, body bowling, I guess. I didn't catch the name of exactly what this sport or hobby is called in Dutch, but I guess it's a Dutch thing. My first impression was it looked really fun. I would totally be excited about that. And if I was competing on this season, I would definitely want to be the person in the sled. Just push me, let me go, let me glide across the ice and knock all the pins down. It looked a lot easier than it actually was. They did have to have, like, enough strength to get their partner all the way down to the other side of the rink, and then also angle it correctly, staying in a straight line pretty much to be able to hit all the pins. So it took the team several attempts, but ultimately Kyland and Taylor came out victorious and they earned that express pass. I am totally here for Kyland and Taylor. They're one of my favorite teams that's racing this season. So I was excited to see that they won. However, it did not stop there. After all of the teams completed that challenge and they meet up with Phil, Phil informs the winning team that they've actually earned 2 express passes and they have the decision to give up their second express pass to another team. This is where we're going to see throughout the season the conflicts and the alliances and the allegiances, the friendships and the relationships from their prior seasons coming into play and really influencing and guiding their decision making, because Taylor has friends on other teams and so does Kylan, but they ultimately decide, instead of giving an express pass to one of their buddies on the other teams, to give it to another team to try to build a relationship, to extend an olive branch and, kind of create that type of working dynamic. I agree with that reasoning, but the team that they gave it to, that wouldn't have been my pick. They give it to Jag and Jas. I'm just going to call them JJ. JJ, let me just say, I think they are probably the strongest team this season. Jack himself is a competition beast. He's a Big Brother winner, and he is also the Big Brother house guest who's won the most amount of competitions. This dude he's good, okay? He's a well-rounded competitive player, and his brother seems just as capable. So them two together, I think that they're going to be the team to beat. The fact that they gave them an express pass, I understood a part of the reasoning. Taylor was saying that she wanted to give it to another Big Brother winner because, like, let's face it, when you have previous winners that are playing against other competitors, everybody's looking at them as the targets because you already won the money, you already won the crown, you already have your time. Let somebody else win. Like, other players don't want to just see another, a champion win again over them. Like, everybody wants to have their own time to shine. So I think they're going to be targets. And I mean, I do agree with trying to extend an olive branch and create a working relationship and an alliance with them. But out of all the teams, I just don't think JJ needs it. I don't think that they need an express pass at all. I think they're going to be leading the pack for the entire game. My prediction, I'm just saying it now, I think they are going to have the most first place finishes of the entire season. JJ, I have my money on them. Jack and Enzo were the last team to complete the, I don't know what to call it, ice skating, bowling, sledding, whatever competition. And because of that, they incurred a hazard penalty, which, starting off the first leg of the race, that's super tough. It sucks. I mean, they kind of sucked at the challenge, but it's just going to make, the rest of the leg that much more challenging for them. So, I mean, it is what it is, but if that was me, I would be really, really, really worried at that point, because the game is hard enough and it's their first time playing it. You're in another country. You have no idea what's going to be thrown at you. You don't know what skills, you have that are going to come in handy, or what skills you don't have that's going to end up being kind of like a detriment to your gameplay. And to already have an additional, it's not a roadblock, it's a hazard penalty, but to have an additional task that you have to complete that's going to put you behind the pack, that sucks. But I can say that after they completed that challenge and they had the results and everything, everyone starts off on even playing ground. Phil is like, okay, go. And they have to run around the corner and find their cars with a clue on it and get started with the next thing. So at that point, I'm kind of feeling like, all right, they do have this extra task to do, but at least they're starting at the same point with everybody else and they're not like all the way behind time wise. So there is some hope. It really just depends on what that challenge is. So let's get into the challenge. The teams have to ride on a tandem style bike to get to the challenge, essentially. And when I was looking at this, I was thinking, I've never rode a tandem style bike. I can ride a bike just fine. Something about it appears to me to be inherently challenging, because it's just two people and you got to stay in sync and you got to stay in balance, because I would be pissed off if my partner had us like wobbly all over the place and then we falling over because you don't know how to steer or you don't know how to like pedal and beat with me. We did see Angela with her daughter Lexi struggling a little bit, and Angela's like fussing at her. I love Angela, by the way. I think she is so entertaining to watch. I think she's hilarious. I love her big, bright personality and how she just always says what's on her mind. And kind of going back to the Big Brother, just the histories and the dynamics between these players. Tucker was not, happy to see her there because Angela tried to rally the Big Brother house against him during their season. And he already is having thoughts of you turning her ass. And you know what? I mean, I'm here for it. All's fair in love and war. Like, do what you got to do, Tucker. Maybe we will see him getting some revenge against Angela. And again, I really like this season that they did it this way with this type of cast, because they already have, either good relationships with each other and alliances, friendships, relationships, or some beef, some bad blood. Maybe, like I said, he will take out and kind of like get Angela back in a way. Even if it's probably not in like in a strategic sense, like that wouldn't be the best team to target. I could definitely see him still doing it just to mess with Angela, just to get her back, just to make her time in the game a little bit harder, the same as she made his time in the Big Brother house harder. So the first challenge that they have to do is delivering Dutch cheese. It's called Edam cheese. And they have to dress up in these. Jack called it a Dutch cheeseman outfit. So that's what I'm gonna call it too. It was like this little white jumpsuit get up. You had to put a little hat on, a little bandana scarf. It looked pretty cute. And you had to put them on like this little like it had like curvature to it, so it kind of looked like a little boat thing, and they had to stack them up like a pyramid type of formation. And these Edam cheese, it's round. They're like balls, so they're moving around. You have to use a bit of precision to make sure you have everything stacked correctly. And then both team members had to like hoist it over their shoulders and walk in tandem to deliver it to the next location. These are one of these challenges as a viewer when you're looking at it. It's like, oh, it looks pretty simple. Like, I'd be able to do that. That's not hard. But in reality, it requires precision and it requires really good coordination and teamwork with your partner. So, going on these shows, especially a show like The Amazing Race, who you pick as your partner is so, so critical. Just put my own business out there. I am applying for The Amazing Race. I'm applying with my very, very good friend Gio, who was on season 43 of Survivor. And so when I'm watching this season now, I'm always going to be thinking of like, how would me and Gio do in this? How would me and Gio, do with this? I think we would do fine with the cheese delivery. I think we would be good with that. I think so. But who knows, right? It's one of those things like I love The Amazing Race and their challenges because they're so unique, and there's things that you try and you have to do that you've never done anything like it before. So you really kind of don't know what your capabilities are until you're in the moment. But I think that that makes it just more exciting and fun. That's just my take, at least. The teams don't struggle too much with the Edam cheese challenge. They all get through it pretty, not quickly, but without too many setbacks, or not the cheese like falling off a million times. A couple teams did have to reset it once or twice, but once they got into the rhythm of it and walking together, and it didn't seem like the distance was that long, they all seemed to get through it pretty smoothly. From there, they race and get to the roadblock. And every time I watch this show, I always think to myself, okay, if it was me and my partner, just based off of that one, little intro to the clue, would I volunteer to go, or would it be something that I wanted my partner to do? So for this roadblock, the clue was who's feeling fresh as a daisy. Immediately, I would have been me. I'm like, something with flowers. Could mean bees, could mean bugs and insects, which I'm not a fan of, but I would hope that they would, if it was bees, they would give us like a beekeeper suit. But, flowers, I'm like, this isn't something that's, I don't know. I would just think in my head, I can do this one. It's the first one. Who's feeling fresh as a daisy? Are we picking flowers? Are we making a bouquet, like an arrangement or something like that? I am a visual person. I am a creative person. So I would immediately volunteer. If it was me and Gio, I'd be like, look, Gio, let me just get this one out the way. Let me take the first one. It also is stressful, and you do have kind of more pressure on you when it's like that first individual challenge, that first roadblock, and you're the person who has to get it done and get it done in time so that your team doesn't get eliminated. But I'm the type of person, I do work well under pressure. It does motivate me even more. So I would have been confident going in doing the who's fresh as a daisy roadblock challenge. And then when we get there, we see what it is. They are tasked with having to pick out, certain flowers, certain daisies from this huge greenhouse. It was like a million flowers in there. And I think it was about 6 rows of different flowers that they had to arrange and like put in like this, I don't know, it looked like a box thing to me. But the flowers that were in the greenhouse, they were very, very like small nuances between them. If like one was pink with yellow in the inside, it was like a certain like hue of yellow or a certain hue of pink, and a lot of them were really, really similar. So for this challenge, if it was me in there, I mean, once you just see like how vast and how large it is, the selection of flowers in the greenhouse, automatically know, okay, this is going to take some time. It's better to be accurate and just get it the first time than to be rushing through and not paying attention enough and missing details and having to run back and forth. Because running back and forth, number one, you're starting to frustrate yourself. You're putting more pressure on yourself. And then you're also physically exhausting yourself. You're making yourself more tired. And like, I don't have time for that. We got to get to the pit stop. We got to check in with Phil and keep this race going. So I'm the type of person, I just want to get it done right the first time and have it just be a one-time only deal so I can cross that off the list, put it behind me, and let's keep going. I also have good memory. It's just easy for me to memorize things, and I'm a visual person. So I do feel like that would be a strength and an asset in this challenge if I were to do it. But what I don't have a lot of is patience. I'm not a patient person. I'm actually very impatient. So I think, like I said, going into this, I would just have to tell myself, okay, Ty, you just need to focus. This greenhouse is huge, so it's going to take some time. This isn't about speed. This is going to be about accuracy. Let's just get it done right the first time and let's go. I would probably be in a more calm position like that if I was at the head of the pack, if I was one of like the first, like, let's say 3 teams to get there. If I arrive there a little bit later when there's more teams there and you kind of know that you're at the end of the leg and it's time to go because somebody's about to get eliminated and go home, feeling that pressure, I probably would, just knowing myself, be like, okay, I can't waste time here. I cannot waste time. I can't lollygag. And then there was another curveball thrown in. So apparently with that greenhouse, they had like, like these huge like shade shutter things on the roof. And then that bitch closed. And it was dark. They said it was pitch black dark in there, and they said it was hot and humid. So already you have the elements working against you. Now you can't see that well. Now they had to go get the little headlamps and the flashlights. That's taking more time, okay? But what we did see in the episode were certain teams that are starting to pair up and work together. Great strategy, especially when it's in the very, very beginning. Let's work smarter and not harder, and make sure that at least you and I on this roadblock can get our asses out of here because we know there's plenty of people behind us and we're going to be safe at the end of the day. It's not the time to be cutthroat. It's not the time to be throwing, teams off. So I was happy to see certain players working together with each other to get the roadblock done. For example, we see, I think it was Jas or Jack. I think it was Jas who did this. One of the J's was doing the roadblock and he was there first trying to complete it. And then Eric comes in and Eric's just like, oh, hey man, like, can we work together? And Jas is like, yeah, okay. Yep. I already got this and that. Okay. You go ahead and get this flower. You go ahead and run there. And he said he did it that way because he was already there. He was already getting tired of running. So he made Eric do the running for him. And then they both combined everything together and they got out of there super, super quick. And as I predicted, just from the very beginning of the show, JJ comes in first. They do reach Phil at the mat in the first place. Eric and Tucker were right behind them, but they did come up with the first place finish. I am happy for them. And they got $2,500 each, which, okay, let's just rack up that money. Like, pay me, Phil. Like, that's something to sneeze at. So I was super, super, super happy for them. And like I said, I think they're going to be a really, really strong team. And I think they're going to be leading the pack the entire time. Plus, they have that express pass. They're going to be the team to beat. They're highly, highly competitive. We do also see a scene with Kat and her boyfriend. They are leaving the Edam cheese delivery competition, and she realizes that she still has her bandana tied across her neck. And the instructions are very clear that you have to leave the entire garment, the entire change of clothes behind. You cannot carry it with you. So they have to turn around and go back. Kat's getting emotional. She's frustrated. And look, girl, I get it. When I get really, really frustrated, especially when I'm mad at myself, sometimes I do cry. I'm not really an emotional person like that, but it's just one of those things that's like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And I also am a self-critical person. So I do like beat up on myself. So I understood her emotions in that moment. But what I really liked seeing from the scene was that Andy was so, so supportive of her and reassuring her that, look, it was an honest mistake. Anybody could have made that mistake. You know, feel your emotions, get it out now. But girl, get your head back in the game because we are still racing. We still have work to do. Let's go drop that shit off and keep it moving and get into this roadblock and bring it home. Okay. So she had her moment in the car. She had let her emotions out and everything. And it's like, okay, let's just get composed and let's keep racing. Because at this point, what can you do? You can't go back in time. Meanwhile, Jack and Enzo are completing their hazard penalty, and their hazard penalty is to eat herring, which is this nasty ass fish that I was introduced to when I was on Destination X when we were in our Amsterdam stop. Luckily, I didn't have to eat it as a part of the challenge because the challenge that I did, my teammates were blindfolded and had to eat all this nasty shit. And I had to, like, they had to describe to me what it was. And visually, I had to select what I thought it was. And we won. But anyways, so I didn't have to eat it, but I did smell it. And it smells like garbage, smells like trash, smells like fish ass. Like it stunk so bad. So their hazard was just to eat it. I'm such a biggie eater, and it would have been very difficult for me to do it. But when it's $1 million on the line, you'd be surprised what you could do. So I would have just been like, let me just, I know it's going to be nasty. Just prime myself. I feel like a lot of it is mental. Like, this is going to be nasty as shit. Let me just like eat it super quick and keep moving. Like, because we got to go. We already behind other people because we have this extra stuff to do. At the Greenhouse Daisy Challenge, the teams that arrive by the time that the roof retracts, they're being slowed down, right? Because now there's a visual impairment. So we don't see them getting too frustrated, but we do see Matt struggling and he's taking a while. Other teams are passing him. He's doing his best. It doesn't look like he's, being too slow, but again, this is just one of those competitions where you have to pay attention to the small details. Then again, the small details are harder to see because now the roof's closed and it's dark. We do see Matt, who is, I'm not going to say struggling, but he's slower in this part of the competition. To be fair, the roof is retracted now, so it's dark and he's like walking around with a flashlight. So it's harder to see those details, but this is one of those competitions where attention to detail matters. It's kind of make or break. So I was getting nervous because Jack and Enzo are like way behind the pack. And it's only down to like two teams, that are still at the greenhouse. Kat and Andy are still there. And Kat was the person who volunteered to do the Daisy Challenge because she was just so emotional about making the mistake about the bandana and she had been crying. I don't think she should have ran this roadblock, even though it sounded like something that, she was capable of doing and it probably would have been fine. You have to look at the health of the team, right? And where they are at that moment. She's already been beating herself up and crying because she made a mistake and she feels like she was even talking so negatively. I was like, Kat, she was like, no, we're going to lose or we're not going to finish. She said something like that in the car. And I'm like, girl, don't you pay attention to what you tell yourself, okay? Like, you are going to be fine. Be positive. Encourage yourself. Be resilient. Keep going. It's not over until the fat lady sings, until Phil tells you that you're going home, okay? You are still in this race. So because mentally and emotionally she wasn't in the strongest place at that time, like I said, I don't think she should have ran that challenge. I think Andy should have done it. But she did it. And then what do we see? We see her getting frustrated with the flowers and she can't find the right ones. And the guy is sending her back. And then she starts crying again. She was already emotional. So no surprise there. But at this point, I'm watching it and I'm like, girl, like, lock in, snap out of it. Forget the emotion at this point. You need to focus. Cry later at the hotel or at some other time when it doesn't matter. But right now, we just don't have time for tears. There's no time for it. So she was stressing me out. I was like, girl, like, just stop it. But luckily she does make it out of the challenge. Yeah, she makes it out of the challenge. She doesn't stay there all night, but her team, they're not the last ones to leave. It gets down to Jack and Enzo and Matt. This just wasn't, one of his strengths, I guess. I mean, it was taking him a little while. I wasn't necessarily pulling for Jack and Enzo to sneak ahead, but I like a tight race. I like a photo finish. So the fact that they were, right there at the end with each other, I did think that Jack and Enzo had, a chance to still make it in the race. But unfortunately, they did get eliminated and they did come in last place. So sad to see Jack and Enzo go home, but that's the race. That's the game. We have J and J, who took home first place. Tucker and Eric right behind them in second. Izzy and Paige finished in third. I love Izzy, so I'm rooting for her. So happy to see that. Kristine and Rubina finished fourth. I really love their energy. They were just like, Phil, aren't you happy to see us? And he's like, yeah, I guess. But I love their energy. Their energy is so infectious. So I love seeing how excited they are about the race. Then we have Natalie and Stephanie in fifth. I really, really like their relationship as sisters as well. Jack and Chelsie. I'm rooting for Chelsie. Her and her dad came in sixth place. Hannah and Simone, her younger sister, come in seventh. I'm also rooting for Hannah. Joseph and Adam come in eighth. Kyland and Taylor come in ninth. And it was worrying me because I need y'all to stay in this game. Tighten up, okay? Tighten up. It was too close for me. Then we have Angela and Lexi, who finished in 10th place, and Kat and Alex in 11th place, Morgan and Matt in 12th, and Jack and Enzo came in last in 13th place and were sent home. I can't wait for the next episode. I can't wait for this season. I think it's going to have a lot of drama. And I think they're going to go to some really, really cool destinations. Something that's also going to be different about this season, because they are entirely in Europe, they're going to be doing a lot more driving and self-navigating and taking trains. So we're probably not going to see a lot of the going to, the airport and playing the airport game and trying to get on this person's flight and, oh, but this one has a connection, or the travel agents and things like that. They're going to be navigating boots on the ground in Europe on their own. So I think that's going to just be a different element to the game that we really haven't seen that much before. But I think it's going to make for great television. I think it's going to make for an interesting season. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week for a recap of episode 2.